Yo, what's good, guys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be updating our infielders tier list for you guys, giving you guys the best cards that you need to be using going into the first weekend league. So, from the time you're seeing this, you got about 4 or 5 days, something like that, before the first weekend league starts. So, hopefully, this helps you kind of get your squad together, pick up some cards that might come in handy. So, if it does, feel free to like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and hop in. So, first card, Willie Adames, C tier. Hits one side of the ball pretty well. Does not hit the other well at all. Can't really play great defense because he's not fast. And his defense just isn't that crazy. So, just don't really see a point in using him. B tier, you can think of as more like a budget tier. These two will forever be, until like the first roster update, I guess. Just like the budget live series catchers. Will Smith, a little more power. William, little higher contact, so he's going to lend himself better on Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But Will probably end up hitting more home runs for most people. Whit Merrifield, terrible collection award. Just don't know why you would force yourself to use that card. Vlad Jr., A tier. As far as contact hitting first baseman go, he's one of your better options. Contact hitting first baseman with good power. I should be a little more specific with that. I think he is basically the right-handed equivalent of this guy right here, Bryce Harper. I think they're pretty similar. Bryce's clutch is better. Vlad probably has the better overall hitting stats. As for who swing or which quirks you like more, I think Vlad has more quirks. And it's more so just a case of if you want a righty or a lefty. Trey Turner, another Philly, making A tier. So he's an absolute stud. He's a budget monster. I imagine most people probably know that by now. Bazana. I think we're rocking with A tier right now. I don't know if he's going to stay there, but I think I'm cool with that. Tommy Edman, top of B tier. Hits one side pretty well. Does not hit the other side at all. Has some okay clutch to offset it. The defense isn't that crazy. The speed isn't that crazy. So he's okay. He's fine. On a Dodgers team, he probably would be filthy. But we don't take into account any captain teams or anything like that. Todd Helton, just a slightly worse like contact hitting first baseman. You could maybe make the argument he has the best swing out of like these three. I think he's got some really good hitting quirks as well, but I think I'd rather run these guys over him. Terry P, I think top of B tier, just because who I'm personally going to put in A tier. I think he cannot possibly be in the same tier as who I'm about to put up there. Ted Simmons wins S tier by default. There's really no competition. A switch hitting catcher is a rare thing to have, as well as he is statistically one of the better ones, and he's got really good quirks. So there's just not really a lot of catchers that are competing with that. Not right now, anyway. Stan Musial. This is tough. He is worse power-wise against lefties than I think all of these other guys, but he's way better against righties. He has every quirk in the game. He has one of the more underrated swings every year. He's definitely not S tier because you can't. He's not a do-it-all first baseman. He can't hit for power against lefties, and that's really all you care about in a first baseman. But I think he does make that A tier. So we might have to get a little more harsh with some of these guys. Sammy Basayo, I think A tier's cool for him. I think if he's your second best catcher, I wouldn't laugh at you. I think if he's your third best catcher, same goes. I think he has a conversation with Mike Napoli. I think Napoli's the very pure hitter, but Napoli having a really bad clutch could end up costing you on a high rank. Ryan Howard, C tier for what he is. He is a platoon first baseman or even a pinch hitter as a bench bat, not a full-time first baseman. So I'm just not going to rank him high. Robin Yount. So this is why I hate Whit Merrifield. These are very comparable cards. This card's 4K on the market. This one you have to lock in Bobby Witt for. Is Whit Merrifield faster? Yes. Does he have a center field secondary? Yes. But it's just not worth anywhere close to worth it. Rafi Devers A tier. This is what I was talking about. If he's A tier, Pendleton cannot be A tier. Just can't do it. I don't like Devers. I don't love his swing. I know he has a cult following. I know there's going to be a bunch of people laughing at me for putting him in A tier. But I just don't think he's that crazy for me whenever I use him. Whenever I play against him, I feel like he's not that crazy. Um, if he's one of your few lefties in your lineup, cool. I just have other people I'd rather have. Paul Molitor, this card's horrendous. D tier, first D tier card, just has actually too little power to do anything with. He has like 40 power. So if you're new to the game, he might look juicy to you with high contact, good speed, good defense. But I promise you, you're not doing a whole lot with 40 power. Mookie, S tier, in my opinion, the best second baseman in the game right now. If you know, you know. But definitely not the best shortstop. Piazza, I wanted to have him on here. I think he's honestly D tier might be kind of harsh, but he's either D or C. It's not worth splitting hairs over. But I wanted to put him on here to put everybody on notice. I think this is the Piazza year. If I get this gold card in co-op, he's going 3 for 4, 4 for 4. He's a monster. Has a much improved swing. He has the same one he had last year, which was way vastly improved from what it used to be. And he's got every quirk in the game. So this one does not really have the hitting stats, particularly against lefties, to justify using. But just know Piazza is going to be here this year. Mike Napoli, A tier with Basallo. The better pure hitter, but I've actually heard that swing is worse from people that actually enjoyed his swing in previous years, and I didn't like his swing in previous years. But his clutch is just really bad, so that's holding him back. You're going to get some situations on Hall of Fame, Legend, or even GOAT where this card is just not somebody you're going to want to be using, but he is still a solid option. Michael Young, I think he's cool with the bat. I think he has like borderline just the right amount of power to where he's not unusable. I think he's got like 110 contact, something like that, with like 70, a little under 70 power. But the defense is just, it's horrendous. He's going to cost you runs at shortstop. Probably, if not the most important, the second most important defensive position on the field. And you're running Michael Young there. The defense is not going to be pretty. Muncy, probably C tier, just strictly like an all-star veteran card. You're not running this card on Hall of Fame. I mean, you can, but I'm not saying he's going to be great. He might go 1 for 4 with a home run every game, and if that's what you're looking for, then he's there. But he's really going to struggle, especially as pitchers start to get higher hits. Matt Shaw, super solid budget card. Does a little bit of everything for you. Not somebody I would have anywhere close. Like, I would definitely way rather use Terry Pendleton. I think there's going to be some other third basemen as well, to where I wouldn't even think about him. McGuire, A tier, goes in there with like Devers, where some people are going to think that's preposterous because statistically he is crazy. But I think he's definitely not the best first baseman. I think he's one of the better options that you can use, but just not the craziest card in the world. Marcelo, I think he's Pendleton tier, honestly. I think third base is the spot for him. It's not shortstop. He's pretty slow, so he's going to give up a lot of squeakers that are hit like straight up the middle or right beside third base. He won't get to those because of his speed. And also, I don't think his hitting stats are that crazy. His clutch is pretty bad. So if you want to make the argument that you'd rather have Terry Pendleton with the high contact, the okay quirks, and the switch hitting ability, I would hear that out. So I think they're pretty comparable. They both give you different things, but they're pretty solid. Leo DeVry does a lot, does everything well, nothing great. He's like 80s in every single stat other than power against righties, I want to say. And he's a switch hitter, so great utility at second base. At shortstop, he should play pretty good defense. Can't really go wrong with the card. He's nothing crazy by any means, but I think he's very well rounded. Lance Berkman, another card that I just still have not got to use. I've heard some people say his swing sucks. Some people say it's very good. He has every hitting quirk in the game. He has mediocre hitting stats, similar to like a Vlad Jr. except he's a switch hitter. So I can't see a world where he is possibly bad. I might have actually talked myself out of Vlad and Bryce being in this tier. Kyle Seager, B tier. I see some value in like the inverse splits where he just mashes lefties. It's gonna make hitting lefty lefty a little more enjoyable. But against righties and with the clutch, I believe he has bad clutch. I just personally would not be using this card. Yeah, so 50 clutch. So yeah, that kind of kills the card on higher difficulties. Where I think he is just kind of a B tier card. Higashioka cracks a C tier. Very usable on veteran. He's probably the best catcher in the game, to be honest. But on All Star, very usable. On Hall of Fame, you could probably get away with using him. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's gonna be great, but just from a budget perspective, he is definitely better in Piazza, I would say. Christian Campbell, I think he cracks A tier. See, it's not all about clutch. He's a card that doesn't have the greatest clutch in the world. But I'm still going to throw him up here because everybody I see use him absolutely mashes with him. Has a ton of positions that he can play very well. So super solid card there. Has a nice swing. Ketel Marte, finally a heavy hitter. Um, for my money, the best live series diamond in the game. Dude absolutely mashes. If you can get him on a day where he's playing up against righties and you have some parallels, then you're looking at like some just absurd hitting stats. He's him, for lack of a better word. He has every single hitting quirk that you would really want, just to juice him even more. Just an insane card. Caminero, like B tier. Haven't really seen anybody running this card routinely online, especially at high ranks. But you could. He's more of a bench bat in my eyes against lefties, but you could run him as a full-time third baseman. It's just don't expect anything great with righties. J-Ram, S tier. The thing with him is I feel like you almost have to, well, once you get to a higher difficulty, on low difficulty, you're probably good, but on a higher difficulty, you almost have to catch him on a day where he's playing up against righties. 78-70 is very good in the grand scheme of things, but when you're talking about like on a God squad and being S tier, you kind of need him to be up against righties. So if you want to make the argument to drop him to A tier, I would hear that, but I think the clutch being high helps kind of, mitigate that. Joey Bats, A tier. I think we gotta get a little more critical with our first baseman here. I think Vlad gets kicked out. I think Harper gets kicked out. Because I don't think either of them are necessarily stand level. And I would like to put Bautista here, but I view him as like a worse Mark McGwire. But then I remember that he has third base. So at third base, I think there's some value there because there's not a ton of great third basemen in the game. Right now, card hit amazing for me on Hall of Fame. Don't know how great he would be on Legend. But he has a decently nice swing with like every hitting quirk you could want and just stupid power. So I think he's got some value at first, some value at third. Pretty solid all the way. Pretty solid all around card. Jordan Westberg, B tier for our first little. He's not the monthly player. He's like a stepping stone player in the monthly program that we'll get later. He's like an upgraded Kobe Mayo. He's like a Kobe Mayo on Hall of Fame. It is the stats you would want. I think his swing's a little better than Mayo's, but I think they're almost the same card. Lawler, not a big fan of this card. C tier. He is like a pure defensive shortstop, and I've seen people hit good with him. I played a guy on Hall of Fame pushing 900 rated, pushing like even like 1,000 rated, batting like 400 with Jordan Lawler leadoff. If you just had Trey Turner there, you'd probably be batting 450, and the defense would be 80, 90% of what it is with Jordan Lawler. I just can't see the value in running him. Johnny Bench, can we get him as on tier? He is absolutely horrendous. Doesn't really hit great against either side. He does have a strong side, but then he also has like 45 clutch. So past veteran, past all-star, even on all-star, some away sliders from a righty might do some nasty stuff to your PCI. Just an absolutely abysmal card. JJ Weatherholt, B tier, just probably doesn't have the power that you'd want. That simple. Not gonna elaborate. New Jimmy Rollins, A tier. He's cool. It's a switch hitter. He's pretty similar to Leo DeVry. I think a lot of people probably like his swing more, and he actually has quirks because he is a legend card. So he has that over DeVry. What you do with that information is kind of up to you. Jeffrey Bagwell, just one of the worst swings every single year. Ugh. I think C tier might be a little harsh just because his hitting stats are that crazy and he has some nice quirks. But C tier might be harsh. But at the same time, he's a first baseman. Would rather run Helton over him. Would rather run Bryce over him. Would rather run Vlad over him. I think this Westberg might can play first, so I'd probably rather run him also. So when you put it in perspective, yeah. Veritek goes up here with these catchers where if you want to get another switch hitter in your lineup, I don't think the offense is going to drop off a cliff. Honestly, Veritek, as long as you're not hitting off, let's see. He has one matchup that would be pretty bad for him. And other than that, he's fine. Like 92, 84, 64, 79 from a catcher you live with. Now, when you have a runner on second base and it's a lefty starter, that's when things get a little ugly. But how many times are you necessarily going to see that situation with him? Kipnis does not go S tier because I think there's just way better second basemen that are even better value. You can get Mookie for less than what it is to get Kipnis. You can get Marte for less than what it is to get Kipnis. So really no reason to rank him above those. But he is a solid option. If I'm putting him in A tier, I feel like I kind of have to put Bazana in B tier. Bazana is better value for sure, but they're basically the same card. One's just slightly worse. Nah, I can't drop him a tier. I think that's a little harsh. The Burger Man always has like more or less a nice swing. I think he kind of just fits in with Westberg, where Westberg probably be better on Hall of Fame. Burger way better on like All-Star and Veteran with just the crazy power. Also plays third as well. So I'm kind of like brainwashed to thinking of him as a third baseman, but he's actually a first baseman with a third base secondary. Jack Caglione. This one goes out to the guy that I played and ranked with him. Don't know why you're still using him. He seemed to enjoy him, but I cannot possibly advise anybody to use him at this point. You're basically running Max Muncy. I think Muncy might actually even be better. So I just no reason to be running that card. Ian Kinsler. I think he's slotting in a solid D tier with the other Ranger. Nah, because him and Merrifield are like way too close. So I think they give you a lot of the same stuff. They both just have absolutely abysmal power. Kinsler's a little faster. Merrifield can play the outfield. Probably wouldn't advise anybody to use either of them, but they're there. Hank Thompson, he goes in the Johnny Bench tier, where didn't think they could make cards this bad, but he's pretty bad. Hanky Panky Greenberg, D tier. No reason to be using this card. He is everything wrong with the first baseman. Maybe he'll get a card later in the year that's better, but he's just an extreme contact first baseman with like 50, 60 power, if my memory does not deceive me. Like, it's really bad. I actually played some of my rank that was using them. 65, 65. So it's not the worst power in the world. The clutch is nice. The only reason I could see you using him over this plethora of better first base options is if you are new to Hall of Fame or you just really, really struggle with having a small PCI and you want to maximize that. Cool, I guess. But that 65 power is going to get robbed more times than not. Same kind of goes for this Hank Aaron. I think he has some value at second base. It's a lot better than playing him in the outfield where there's way better bats. At second base, he at least has less competition, but I mean, Tommy Edman blows him out of the water, and I don't even really like that Tommy Edman card. Gunner, Just gonna lump him in there with Westberg. I think on his own base card, not really a ton of reason to play him. If you can get him on a day where he's playing up and up against lefties in particular, I think that makes him a lot more usable. I think he's bordering more on like an A tier card. Although I don't really know where you play him because he's a shortstop, but he's not great defensively. So that kind of brings its own set of issues. Glaber, A tier, still statistically like one of the best second basemen in the game. And if you want a righty second baseman, he's one of your better options. But in general, not the craziest card in the world. So there is him, Gil Hodges, first base. Best first baseman in the game. I think I haven't loved him yet. He gets a lot of swings that shouldn't be rewarded to be rewarded. So I think it's just a matter of time before he does start hitting better. But definitely the best first baseman in the game. I will say his swing's probably not going to be for everybody, but it is still pretty solid. George Brett and C tier might be a little harsh. I'm not. It's debatable. Third, yeah. I mean, Marcelo's just better. Like, other than clutch, Marcelo's just better at third base. Terry Pendleton's better at third base. El Gary, just poor contact. He's like a slightly upgraded like Higashioka. I think, yeah, if you want to run him over like William and Will Smith, then you can. Um, wouldn't hate it. Freddle, Todd Helton, he's just the live series version of Todd Helton. If you can get him when he's playing up a day by a good amount against one side, I could see the argument for him being better. Or if you're a quirk enjoyer and you just only care about quirks, Todd Helton's probably just kind of solo him every single time. Flanked by the boss here in B tier. Just not a swing that's for everybody. Doesn't have awesome clutch. If I want a contact hitting or a power hitting first baseman, I'm going Jose Bautista. I'm going Musial. I'm going David Ortiz, who we haven't even got to yet, or like the switch hitter. There's a million different options I would take over Frank, but he's still okay. Frankie, not the biggest fan of Frankie. If you want to run him, I'm going to assume you're running him on a day where he's playing up, which, if that's the case, he's going to be really good. But I feel like he just lacks hitting a good amount, and they don't have him on here. Okay, whatever. The hitting stats are lackluster. He's better against lefties. Pretty good defensively. The arm's a little noodle-like at times, but you can run him at short, you can run him at third, you can run him at short or second. So he's got some versatility there. I know it would be out of position, but he'll be fine. Ellie, top of B tier. I think the bat has kind of betrayed him at this point, where he still mashes against righties. It's almost like using Corey Seager against righties. But then against lefties, like it's pedestrian. It's bad. You line out a ton. He just doesn't really have the power for it. But the defense is still really good, and he's really good against righties as a platoon shortstop. Even platooning him with Lindor, I think he'd be pretty good. But not a card that I would be running full time at shortstop at this point, probably. Yeah, on a budget, yeah. But in a vacuum, assuming you have like every card in the game, no. Don Baylor, he's basically just Jose Bautista, but he's way worse against righties, and he has no clutch. So no reason to use him over this card that's like 8K right now. So Dick Allen, top of B tier. I've seen some people really love this card and really run him into the ground. I think he's solid, but I don't think he's like one of the better options at third base, for sure. I think he is in that like Pendleton, Mayer territory where he's definitely not sniffing like Devers. Derek Jeter. See, I wanted to give him the Greenberg treatment, but the truth is there's not that many shortstops that are like tearing the cover off the ball necessarily. So I think the quirks can carry him a good amount, but the defense just isn't even good. So if you're going to use the Jeter, again, I'd probably wait till later in the year. This card kind of grown on me a little bit. I don't think I would. He's still C tier. I don't think I would use him over Westberg or Caminero or Jake Berger or Marcelo Mayer or Pendleton. And that's kind of how you have to evaluate him is third base. And I don't have a million third basemen in the same tier. Big Poppy, basically Sam Musial. I think he has slightly more power against lefties than Musial. Musial's way faster. Ortiz has like 12 speed to kind of balance them out a little bit. They both have like every single quirk. It's just really whoever swing do you like more. They are both two insane free options for first base. Biggio, yeah, so he's going down in like the Kinsler tier, where I think you could honestly make the argument that he's probably worse than Kinsler and Merrifield, because he is slightly more power focused, but not enough to where it's really going to matter. And he's just not nearly as fast. Doesn't have the defense. He is a catcher technically, so I guess I do kind of have to evaluate him as that. He has a secondary, I'm pretty sure, but I always forget that that card's like actually a primary catcher. So he can't even play second base. This is just purely as a catcher. And purely as a catcher, yeah, I guess, because the only other one down here is Kyle Higashioka. So cool, I guess. Best of the rest. Seager, not S tier because of the defense. He's A tier. I mean, at shortstop, yeah, probably not the greatest card in the world. I don't think anybody's debating that. At third base, people love this Devers card. I think Seager has a better swing. And when we actually look at him, I wonder if they have like a compare tool on here or not. Doesn't seem like it. But he's going to have like same contact right as Devers. Same, if not better power. Well, we can do this actually. I think this will enlighten y'all while I'm not super high on Devers. If the page pulls up. There we go. So we can compare and contrast here. 93, Seager's better against righties there. Has basically the same power. It is like 10 less, but I feel like after you get over 90, it's not the end of the world. But if you want to give Devers points for power, yeah, you're right. 20 higher contact left, 10 higher power right, and 7 less clutch. And they're both pretty poor defensively. Seager's actually probably better, even at a secondary of third or out of position at third base. So that's just why I don't put a lot of value on Seager, because a lot of people are just gonna hit better with Seager's swing. They both kind of feel the same to me, and you know, Devers is a million subs, and Corey Seager's 30K. So I think they're pretty similar in my eyes. Belly, contact hitting first baseman, never been my cup of tea. Nah, I can't. He's not better than Bryce Harper. I'd rather use Bryce Harper than this Cody Bellinger, to be honest with you. And that's just kind of how I feel about him. I thought about it for a minute. I really did, but I can't. Kobe Mayo, Jordan Westberg, same player. I think Westberg, slightly better swing. Kobe Mayo, way better average power numbers. And that's just kind of all you got to know about that. Christian Walker, if you love the gold, you can run this card. I will say his power against, I think, lefties is just absolutely horrendous. To where you got to kind of go into it with those expectations. Headley, S tier. Some of you may be shocked by that. Others will not. I think him and J-Ram are actually like tied for best third baseman. I think, like I said, Jose Ramirez needs to be playing up against righties to even be in the conversation. And Headley is just great. Like, he has bad contact left, but the clutch offsets it to where he still has really good power. He absolutely mashes righties, and he is the best defensive third baseman in the game, in my opinion. He has made some absolutely wild plays for me at third base. So I think he's just, by and large, the best third baseman in the game, and in no small part, that is because of his defense. I feel like you give up a million down the line hits so far this year, and Chase Headley has been one of the few third basemen that have been able to routinely stop those for me. Carson Williams, where is... No, because he's actually better than Lawler. He is slower, so he's not going to be the defensive guru that his card kind of suggests. But he's going to be extremely good on defense, one of the better defensive shortstops. And his power numbers are pretty nice. The swing is absolute trash. You gotta be early, you gotta pull the ball, but if you do that, I think you can find some success with that card. The Flying Rutschman, yeah, he's better than Biggio. I'd rather run him over Biggio. I don't think he's better than like Will Smith and Contreras, but I think C tier for this card's just too harsh. I think you need to probably use him on a day where he's playing up, but his swing is still butter. I wish he would have got supercharged after opening day, but it is what it is. The Bambino, think probably top of B tier. Some people aren't gonna like that. I think I'd rather use Jose Bautista. I'd rather use Stan Musial, and me personally, I probably wouldn't rather use David Ortiz. But I think they're kind of similar. I think David just kills him in just pure hitting stats. Other than power left, obviously, it's not great. Ripken, let's see, who's the shortstop comp here? Like JJ Weatherholt? Yeah, I think they're pretty similar. Where I probably ideally wouldn't run either of them, but if you do want to run them, there's not a ton of issues with it. I don't hate it. Bryson Stott, this card's bad. It's like Whit Merrifield territory, where it's just too little power. You can make the argument since he's at second base. I think that card actually says shortstop. Which if he's a primary shortstop that can play second base, that makes him just even worse. No, it's second base. I don't know why the card says shortstop, but he's actually second base. So that threw me for a little bit of a loop there. But as a second baseman, you can live with him not having great power, but I think I've shown that there's a ton of people you can play in the secondary or even out of position that will be way better. Bobby Witt, A tier. He's gonna line out a lot, like a lot. He doesn't have great power. He does have like every quirk in the game, so that'll help him a good amount. And he's really fast, so he's gonna get some infield singles. And he is one of the better defensive shortstops in the game. But is he worth 150K? Definitely not. Is he gonna line out more than like top tier options? Yes, for sure. Beltray. Um, there's like no third baseman than this or Devers. I mean, he's definitely worse than Devers. I don't think anybody's debating that. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. He makes A tier, but not as a third baseman, as a shortstop. I think he has good value as a shortstop, where having like 60, 70 power as a shortstop isn't out of the norm. It's not out of the regular, and he's going to be better defensively than a lot of shortstops in the game right now. So I think that's where he has the most value at, to be honest. Reggie, I really do want to put him A tier. Okay, this is what we'll do. He is my favorite righty budget second baseman. You play him in a secondary, not as a third baseman. Not ranking him as a third baseman here. At second, he is a absolute stud as far as righties. I think he is actually probably better than Glaber and will perform better than Glaber for most people. Bobby Grich, B tier. He's like Glaber if he had a better swing and really bad clutch. So just think of him like that. Soriano, mediocre swing, does have some nice quirks. Don't think I'm playing him. I think he only has second. I think that would make sense if he only had second. Can't think of anywhere else they would give him. Okay, yeah. So only second base. First pitch, dead red. Just not great hitting stats in general. I think C tier is maybe even being kind to him. Not my favorite card in the world there. And then we have back to back Santander. I think the gold one. Gold one's either bottom of A or top of B right now. I think he is falling behind a little bit. Most days he is playing up from what I've seen. And if you put some parallels on him, which I'm sure a ton of people have, I think there's worlds where he is just as good as Jose Bautista, just as good as Musial, just as good as Ortiz, Berkman. I can keep going. But I think just if you don't have any parallels, you're buying the card straight off the market, you don't crutch switch hitters as much, he might not be the craziest card in the world. That being said, this 89 Diamond, he's him. He's S tier. I think there is legit conversations to be had of until you're on GOAT difficulty, I could probably hear you out for Santander being your best first baseman in the entire game over Gil Hodges. I think until you get to where the contact really, really matters, you could just be an insane player and just crutch the switch hitting ability of Santander and the much improved stats. I think a lot of people look at the card and they don't think his stats look too crazy because the live series wheel always pops up. I don't know why this is like not showing me this year's cards. I'm about to crash out. 72, 80, 106, 105. Maybe legend. Maybe waiting until GOAT is kind of harsh to say Gil Hodges is the best, but I think legitimately veteran, all-star, Hall of Fame, Anthony Santander will probably be better for most people than a strictly righty first baseman in Gil Hodges, who also has a slap swing, which some people don't get along well with. So hopefully I explained my thought process here. I'm sure people will not be happy about the Devers. I'm sure that will be the number one complaint I get because he just has like a cult following, and some people love his swing, and I get it. But he is a lefty first baseman, and you're really gonna sit here and argue with two switches that play his position? Nah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this has been informative for you guys, and we got a little more harsh today. I saw some comments saying I wasn't harsh enough on the pitching tier list. That's just because I didn't include the bot pitchers like Tristan McKenzie, who has 3 pitches. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe. Till next time. Peace.